Welcome back, everybody, to We Talk Film. I'm your host, as always, Barry, joined as always by Clayton. How you going, Clayton? How's
Hello,
things
Barry.
been?
Things have been good. We've been watching a lot of movies, haven't we, Barry?
A lot of movies lately. We've just been non-stop. It's like every single day we've been learning how to make films. We're making stuff, and then we're also watching films. It's just how our lives are at the moment.
It's been absolutely insane because, me and Barry have started our second year of film school. We're kicking off our advanced diplomas. Yeah, we're getting right into it, so we're very busy. But luckily, we still find time to watch movies for this show because today we're bringing two more films that we've missed from last year that we really wanted to catch up on. So today we are bringing you The Boys in the Boat, followed by Ferrari. But before we go over to the films, kick it on over to the news.
And yes, I remembered to get a temporary intro at the moment. I know it's from some
We've got
CBS or Fox News channel, but it'll be fine.
We're slightly more reputable than those.
Yeah,
it's okay. We can have them. We deserve it more than they do, whoever that belongs to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Please don't copyright us, YouTube or Spotify or whoever. That would suck.
where it goes.
Yeah, but anyway. Okay, news. We got a couple new trailers this week. The first one I'd like to mention is we got a teaser for Squid Game Season 2, a show that really surprised me when the first season came out because it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It wasn't as good as everyone said it was, but it was cool. It was unique. It was different. And it seems like we're getting more, and it's even wackier. So sure, I'm all for that.
He's got his red hair. He's like in an airport. Yeah. He's just like, you're being targeted. I'm just like, is this the Squid Game? Is the real world the Squid Game now?
Is he the squid?
Is he the squid?
Game? We don't know.
Is he the game? Dun dun dun.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Next thing is we got an announcement for Among Us, the animated show. We got an image for it.
What?
Yeah, there's an animated Among Us show in production. We don't know when it's coming out yet. I don't know if it's any good or not. I don't know what it's about. I don't know. feels like it should have. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It should have come out 2 years ago.
Yeah, I feel like they're a bit late with that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when that comes out. Who knows? It might be good, but probably not. Okay, and then the last trailer that we got is something that I know is going to be awful. This already looks like the worst thing that I've ever seen.
Is it Roadhouse?
Because the
new Roadhouse?
Oh God, we already talked about that. Please don't bring that up again on the podcast. No. Okay. A while ago, over a decade ago, we got a little movie from DreamWorks, starring Will Ferrell as the titular character, Megamind. It's probably one of the greatest animated superhero films ever made. It's getting a sequel. Called Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate. We got a trailer for it. Will Ferrell's not in it. It's a straight to Peacock movie with none of the cast, and the animation looks god awful.
Why don't I know about
the worst thing? Oh, haven't you seen it?
No, I have not seen anything about this.
Okay. Do you know the Kung Fu Panda show that came out a while ago? Didn't have Jack Black. The animation was bad. But it was a TV show spin-off from the Kung Fu Panda movies. Do you know that?
No, I don't know that either.
Okay.
I was
going to use that as a way of that's what this film looks like, but worse somehow.
Okay.
I don't know. It's god awful and doesn't have any of the cast or the fun of the film.
Yeah.
Metro Man's not in it. It's also going to be a tie into a TV show as well. It's all straight to Peacock.
Oh no.
It looks awful.
Oh no.
God awful. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm literally looking at images of it right now. This looks bad.
You? What do you think?
This looks bad.
What does that make you think? How does that make you feel?
Why? Just whoever thought this was a good idea, why are you doing it? You know, the original film is so good and everything. And that's the thing. Peacock are going all right at the moment because they just released Ted a few weeks ago, which is their #1 highest rated show on their thing. And I love Ted, the show. And then they go and do this.
I'm still yet to watch Ted, and I'm definitely not watching this. But it's like, oh god, man, you're tarnishing this film with whatever this is. All right, moving away from trailers, we got some news. News. First story
News?
I would like to mention is we
Ooh,
lost
that's
one
good
of
news.
probably not necessarily good news today because
not this news. Wrong timing.
one of my favorite actors in recent years and in past years, Carl Weathers, has passed away. He's been in everything, from The Mandalorian, dating back to Happy Gilmore, Predator,
Yep.
Rocky, just so many films throughout the 80s to
one regular
present day.
show episode.
He was in that one regular show episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we lost him today. Today? Was it yesterday?
Yesterday it was.
Yeah. Yesterday. I don't know what day it is. It was yesterday.
It was yesterday for us. So like what, 2 days before the podcast comes out.
Yeah. Bit of a shame.
Yeah, very much of a shame. Such an amazing actor. Like that's another one that's gone, unfortunately. And I was hoping to see more of him because obviously, like they did announce they were doing the Mandalorian like movie and everything like that. And obviously, he is part of all that.
Yeah.
And then seeing him pass away is quite sad. And then I watched Sylvester Stallone's talk about him, and then I just got even more depressed.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's a real shame because he was such a great actor. And yeah, I really wanted to see more of him in projects. But unfortunately, that won't be the case.
No.
We just have to hope that Star Wars don't CGI him into the next thing, because knowing them, they probably they might. Okay. Beetlejuice 2. We got a poster, and we got the official title revealed. It is called Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
As opposed to just Beetlejuice 2.
Well, you can't
which
say
means
it
they're
three
probably
times.
gonna exactly. Unless they do a third one, in which case they definitely will say it 3 times, and it will be really confusing about which Beetlejuice movie you're talking about. Hey man, have you seen Beetlejuice or Beetlejuice or Beetlejuice? Like,
what about Beetlejuice? The Return of Beetlejuice.
Oh, what happens if you say it 4 times? He just kind of appears and leaves for a little bit. Just say. Yeah. I don't know. The more I see from this film, the more I'm kind of like, we don't need this. It's weird. Because the first one's so good, it doesn't feel like a sequel would lend itself well, but it's also, I've got high hopes in the people making it, so well, that's I don't the thing. Know it is how like to feel.
The original, like, everyone's coming back for it.
Yeah.
So I am excited about that. At least they're not recasting, like, Michael Keaton. Because that's the thing. I was very surprised Michael Keaton was like, I'm down to do another one. And, like, Willem Dafoe is in it. Obviously, Gina Ortega is going to be probably the main character in it because she plays Linda's daughter this time around.
Probably.
You know, like I'm interested in seeing what they do with it. Obviously, I don't think it will be as good as the original, but we haven't seen anything else from it yet.
Yeah.
You know, like the original is such its own unique, quirky movie for its time and everything like that. I feel like even if they do replicate it to be like kind of the same thing, I just don't think in today's audience it's gonna do it as well or well received as like the original one was.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see because I don't really. It's probably impossible to predict what that film is going to do. With audiences and just the film itself. It's I don't know. It's a wait and see game. We haven't even seen a trailer, so we can't view it objectively with that either. So I don't know. All right. Moving away. Quentin Tarantino's final film, The Movie Critic, is reportedly going to star Brad Pitt as the title role. Which is their 3rd collaboration, I want to say. Yeah, because they had Inglourious Bastards and they had Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And now The Movie Critic.
Yeah.
It was a while ago, because we talked about this, that he was struggling and looking for someone to fit the role. Yeah. So it seems like he's just kind of gone, you know what, I'm just going to go with Brad Pitt again. Because that worked well the last 2 times.
I mean, it works out well every time I see Brad Pitt. You know, people just want to go and see Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. He's good in some things. He's good in those other 2 Tarantino movies. So I'm sure he'll be good in this one as well. It's like, all right, go for it. Quentin, you do your thing.
You do your thing, bud.
Okay. Another casting announcement is from the DC universe, as James Gunn has announced that Millie Alcock is cast as Supergirl in the DCU. And this is really cool because she looks exactly how I imagine a live-action Supergirl would look. Like, this is, like, spot-on looks-wise casting.
Getting
I'm
some
like,
Australians in the cast as well, so it's like, yeah.
Is she Australian?
She's Australian.
Wait,
I'm
I
pretty
missed
sure
that. Oh, that's
she is
odd.
Australian.
Can we confirm that? Jamie, pull that up.
Jamie, pull that up.
Pull that up. Because, I really hope... That would be so cool. Because she looks like Supergirl. Like, she looks straight out of the comics. I haven't seen anything she's in, but
what's House of the Dragon? She was like the younger version
Oh,
of that.
okay.
Yeah, no, she is an Australian actress. She was born in Sydney.
Oh, awesome. No, I love that. Even more.
Yeah,
All of a
even
sudden,
more
this news story is even more impressive. And I am not a Game of Thrones fan, so I haven't seen House of the Dragon either, so it's like, whatever. But we'll see. I'm sure it could be good.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Because
she looks the
I've
part.
read the what apparently the Supergirl film is going to be based upon when they do the Supergirl movie. It's one of Tom King's comic books, and that is like a phenomenal comic, by the way. Like, Tom King's absolutely amazing at his writing and stuff like that. And I actually like now knowing that she's going to be cast as that. It's like, that's perfect. That is perfect casting.
That's great. Oh, I'd love to hear it. It seems like James Gunn he seems like he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. At least. This is the man that made the Guardians trilogy. This man knows what he's doing. Yeah.
And more proof because this is a great casting. Okay. Okay, moving away to something that does not look as great. Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender. We've got a bunch of announcements from behind the scenes productions because we got a trailer for this. And judging from the trailer alone, I was like, you know what, this doesn't look too bad. But I said that I was a little uneasy about the whole Netflixification of it. And also the original creators stepping away and a whole bunch of things. We got a bunch more announcements from Netflix. None of them are good. Like, none of these are things that should have been announced. Like, everything they said about this film, which I'll get into in a moment, is like, why would you say any of this? This is only going to put people off watching this film. If it's bad, you don't tell people why it's going to be bad. You guys are idiots. You should know how to market this. If it sucks, don't tell anyone about any part of it that sucks. Like, oh, God. All right. So they are going to, quote unquote, be reworking the show's more iffy elements, including one of the main characters, Sokka, who was very sexist in the animated show. They are scrapping all of that. That was his entire character arc in the animated show, is that he was like the last male in his tribe because everyone else went off to war, and he had this very black and white depiction of what men and women can do. And throughout the show, people challenge that at every step, and eventually it ends up with him changing his ways. It's a whole character arc thing. Netflix decide they don't want any character arcs, and they're just making him be feminist from the start. It's like, okay.
That's the thing now, because I saw that announcement. I'm just like, so what are you doing with this character then? Like, what are you doing? That was his thing.
And also, his humor. A lot of his humor was derived from that. Is he'd make like a sexist comment and then he'd get his ass kicked by a woman, like in the show, like all the time. Happens multiple times.
The Michael Scott of the Avatar universe. Like, come on.
And they're like, no. It's stupid. You'd think Netflix would be all for the characters learning and changing their ways, right? To become better.
Oh, no.
No?
Netflix are talking about.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's why I was so scared of this show. Okay. And the next thing is a weird announcement. It's, why would you say this? They said they want to appeal to the Game of Thrones audience with this show. None of them, like, what does that even mean? First of all. Second of all, completely different. They said they don't want this to be just another silly kids show, which is like, you're adapting what is essentially a kids show, but you don't want it to be that show, and you want it to be more like Game of Thrones?
Well, that's the thing, because that's what Shyamalan tried to do with the movie, and then everyone hated it. So are they doing the same thing? We're gonna find out soon enough.
I don't know. Is it gonna just be the Shyamalan movie, but look slightly better, and a series? Is that all this is gonna be?
Probably. I'm thinking there's not to be that. I'm thinking it's starting to be that.
I'm very disappointed in Netflix. You told me the other week, you were like, they did One Piece and that was good, and I was like, yeah,
yeah,
but it's Netflix. And now, look, 1 week later, here we go. Now you're on the other side, Barry. How does it feel to be wrong?
It's gonna be like Cowboy Bebop all over again.
Yep, I told you.
Yeah,
and you were like, hey man, keep your hopes up, and I was like, it's Netflix. I know better.
Oh yeah. I know better now after these remarks and stuff like that. I'm a bit skeptical now, but I think we'll find out in 20 days it comes out. So
yeah, it's very soon. We'll find out. But until then, we've got one more story, and this is one that I did not see coming. This is an announcement for a remake that I didn't think would happen, especially not by these people. Tim Burton is directing this film, and Gillian Flynn is writing it, the author of, like, Gone Girl and a bunch of other things. One of the greatest, like, female writers of all time. She's writing the script. Anyway, it's a remake of Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, the film from 1958, like a cult classic, wacky sci-fi film.
Yep.
It's being remade by Tim Burton and Gillian Flynn. Like, that's a duo I wouldn't have picked, but they're both amazing, and I really want to see this now because this sounds really cool.
Yeah, that is really
production
surprising.
on it. We'll have to wait until after Burton's like off of season 2 of Wednesday. I think is his only thing that he's stuck in.
Yep.
But after that, I think it's straight into this. If the script is done, she's set to write. I don't know how long it'll take her to write. But considering it's a remake, probably not as long as a regular film. I don't know. It sounds awesome. I'm all for wacky cult Tim Burton-y sci-fi films to make a comeback.
Yeah.
This could be really good.
Doing more stuff like that. Maybe that's his retirement plan now, is like all stuff he grew up watching and like loved as a kid. He's just like, I'm just gonna remake it, but in my own style now, because he's basically set himself up as being like one of the biggest directors of all time. He's probably just like, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah. And I mean, we haven't had like a wacky, because this is like a classic monster movie with the sci-fi element. We haven't had anything like this in a long while. Apart from like Godzilla, King Kong-y films.
You had Rampage.
We haven't had anything. No, ignore Rampage. But like, no, I mean like a proper classic monster movie.
Yeah.
So, like, that's cool. There's definitely a market for it. I'm sure it'll look a lot better than the 1958 film.
It most definitely will. It most definitely will.
Oh, it's very dated, but that's what... Look, it's very rare that a remake is something that I'm like, okay, this is something that deserves a remake, or this is a film that definitely should be remade. And this is one of them, because the original does not hold up well. It is... Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard watch. So it definitely feels like this could be good. Go Burton, go Gillian. Yeah, you guys make a movie.
Good news.
That's good news.
It is good news.
That's it for the news. Yeah, we did things.
That's it for the news. Yay! Look at me go. We're all tired. We're all going. Wow. So yes, today we are going to be talking about obviously 2 films, The Boys in the Boat and Ferrari. So we'll start off. Actually, before we go anywhere else, I'd actually like to say a thank you to our audience at the moment. The reason being, we just realized this past week or the past couple of days that our Society of Snow video has like skyrocketed on YouTube at the moment, and a lot of people commenting on that. So thank you for every single one of those viewers commenting and leaving us likes and all that type of stuff on that video. And if you haven't checked out our Society of Snow review, go and watch that episode because it was such an amazing episode and it was such an amazing movie. So yes, we'll
check it out. Yeah.
Boys in the Boat. Unfortunately, I don't have a clip to play. I might should do that in editing.
Okay. So yes. Do you want to hang on? We'll do the clip ourselves. We'll do that clip ourselves. All right. We're in a rowboat. We're rowing.
Olympics.
I'm at the Olympics. Look over there. It's Hitler. Row faster.
We won.
Look again. It's Hitler. Yeah. Good job. Thank you, George Clooney.
That's basically the Boys in the Boat. That's the Boys in the Boat. There it is, everyone. Look at the Boys in the Boat.
Best bullets, they're connected. Sweat and pain.
For what it's worth, I'm proud of you boys.
Inspiring.
You missed the part where I told him not to tip over.
And I
row for your country. Row for each other.
For all the people who never believed in you. As one. As one.
The Boys on the Boat is a sports drama based on the #1 New York best-selling Times non-fiction novel written by Daniel James Brown. The film, directed by George Clooney, is about the 1936 University of Washington rowing team that competed for gold at the Summer Olympics in Berlin. This inspirational true story follows a group of underdogs at the height of the Great Depression as they thrust into the spotlight to take on elite rivals from around the world. That's basically it. It is a rowing movie directed by George Clooney, starring Joel Edgerton, Australian actor, another one.
Yep.
Callum Turner, and a whole bunch of other people that were the boys in the boat.
They were boys in a boat.
They were boys in a boat.
Well, I'm gonna. Should I kick this off with probably the best way to define this film?
Yeah.
This is probably the best film about rowing that has ever been made. I think that's easy to say.
Well, I can't think of another movie about rowing. So.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also a huge part of this film, and a huge part of the praise of this film is just how interesting a movie about rowing can be. Yep. Because I really liked this film. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed every second of this film.
Yeah.
And it only got better as it went along. Like, you just get more invested in the story as it goes. And it was really a fun time. And I'm glad that you told me to watch it, because I didn't know this film was a thing until the other day when you told me what movies we're watching.
It turns out, like, a lot of people don't actually know about this film, because I was messaging another friend about it, like, when I was watching it. And they were like, I've never heard of that movie before. I was like, what? Like, am I the only one that knows about this film? Mainly because the only reason I know about it because George Clooney directed it, and I like watching George Clooney films and all the stuff that he has done. So I was like, yeah, we'll give it a try, and we'll actually talk about it on the podcast. I feel like it was a good movie pick of choice. And yeah, that's the thing. Sat down, started watching it, and yeah, it's one of those films, again, based upon a true story, which was like phenomenal. What this reminds me of a lot, this movie, oddly enough, is like Air last year. It feels like one of those types of films. Again, still not as good as Air. There are a few elements in this movie that I was just like, it's not quite right.
Yeah.
Right, but you know, it was still amazing to watch. So basically, how it begins is obviously we are in, I think, the 80s. There's like a little intro sequence where it's like one of the characters, well, we follow through. His name's Joe Rance, played by Callum Turner, which I have a bit of an issue with, and we'll get into that a little bit later. He basically is like an old man at the beginning, and then he's just like seeing his grandson row, and then he's like remembering of past times when he was
Saving Private Ryan.
It's Saving Private Ryan.
But with boats,
But with boats, yeah. Well, and then obviously it starts with him living in poverty, essentially. Like, he is homeless. He's living by himself, trying to be a college student, going to university, and can't pay for his fees at university at all.
No, it's 1936. So this is right in the middle of the Great Depression. There is poverty everywhere. Everybody's starving, and they've all got holes in their shoes. And he's going to university. And then what happens, Barry?
And then he signs up for the row team, because they basically offer them, was it free housing, money, and like food and everything like that, and obviously training to do it all. And he's just like, I don't have anything else to do. Like, this is the only thing I can do to try and stay at university type thing.
I mean, fair enough.
Fair enough.
Go for it.
But that's the thing.
I would have done the same. Sure.
Yeah. Obviously, when they go for like the tryouts and stuff like that, there's like around 100 guys or something like that, and you can only have 8 people on the boat. Like, only 8 people can be on the boat. And so obviously there's like this whole montage sequence of them trying to train all, and they're not certain on who's going to be on the boat team and everything like that. Him and his friend, I can't remember his name. Was it Roger?
I don't. It was something like that. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I think it was Roger. Basically, they were just like, let's go and give it a try. We'll do our best. And then obviously they get on the team and everything like that. And then it was just like a whole another level of things now, because it's just like, even though they're the junior team, they're still competing while trying to do university and live a life. So obviously we get to the point where we have their first row competition, which is against another school, was the first one.
Yep.
And obviously them being the junior team and everything like that, nobody expected them to win, you know, like all these young boys and stuff like that. But before we get into any further of that, I want to talk about the characters and the bit of the casting issue I kind of have with this movie. So I did absolutely adore Joel Edgerton. He plays as the coach for the row team, or one of the coaches, basically the main coach that we see throughout it. He was great. Every time I see Joel Edgerton in stuff and everything like that, I am just like, I'm all for it. I enjoyed it. I wish we got to see a bit more of him, maybe a bit more about his history when he was on the row team and everything.
He didn't really do much.
No, he was just like there and like gave him a few wise words and still sounded kind of like an asshole. I kind of wanted to see more of him being a coach, because it wasn't until basically right at the end of the movie where he's like acting like a proper coach type thing, which was kind of annoying.
Yeah,
a little bit. The one thing I have problem with was the casting of Callum Turner as Joe in it. So Callum Turner is mid-30s. And this is meant to be based on a college student. Like, this man does not look like a college student. And then they obviously try to dye his hair so it was blonde as well. And then you could still see
it looked weird.
It looked so weird.
It looked very weird.
Like it was just so off-putting a little bit. And then just like his performance throughout the film, like obviously it was good for the type of film and what it is. And
it was alright.
It was alright. But it could have been so much better, because so much of the story is centered around his character. Because especially like, well, the first scene is like it's his story upon what we're seeing and stuff from his perspective. And then it was just kind of like his character in it was very bland, I would say.
Yeah, he was definitely just the eyes that we see everything else through, and not much more than that. So, we're lucky that everything else around him was so interesting and well done and amazing to look at, that I kind of just pushed aside the fact that he's kind of a boring character.
Yeah.
Everyone around him was more interesting than him, which I guess isn't really that much of a problem, but it's also like, come on, this is supposed to be your story, sort of thing. I don't know. It was, a little bit frustrating, but that's okay.
That's okay. These things happen. Well, that's the thing, because obviously the story is about the actual rowing team themselves and everything like that, and that's what mainly is in focus, which is good. It really did put that into motion. So basically we get to the point where they have their first row competitiveness against another school, and then they win unexpectedly. No one thought, not even their coach. They break a record type thing, and then even the coach is just like, damn, like these kids are good. Like even compared to their flagship team, because obviously there's two teams at the college. There's ones that have been training for the past 4 years, and then you got these guys have only been like, or just gotten into the boats type thing. And then they like beat the record and obviously are better than the flagship team. And then it was just like, oh, okay. And then they get all this revenue coming in and stuff. Well, not revenue, but all this hype about it being like, well, you guys have the potential now to go and or trial to get into the Olympics, which is the whole thing. And so basically, they go up against even more teams from around America and stuff like that, like proper full-on people in the rowing, like as their job type thing. And then they absolutely obviously smash it their first time. They're just like, we're going to Germany. We're going to Berlin.
Yeah. It's straight into it. All right.
Straight into it.
Before we get to the whole Olympic segment, the majority of this film is training. I think the actual Olympics is only the last like 20 minutes of this film. So there is an hour and a half of just everything else. And I can't remember the name. What's the name of his girlfriend in it? The blonde lady.
The blonde lady is
because
Joyce.
Yeah, I think their relationship, which takes up quite a fair bit of everything else that isn't training. If they're not training in the boat, then it's the relationship dynamic. I don't think that worked as well as it was intended to either. That's probably the only other gripe with the film. She was carrying that. It felt very one-sided because she was so charismatic and like likable on the screen, and he was very dull and bland.
I'll just say my
one. It was
line.
one-sided.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, this is kind of weird. It's like, can we do something else? Anything else? Can we focus on like the camaraderie between the team rather than this weird, bland relationship. Even though she was very likable, and I thought she was great in her performance, but it was like between the two of them, it didn't really work. It was a one-way chemistry sort of thing, and I would have really liked to see more of just the team interacting, them coming together as a whole, because there's 8 people on this boat. We only know the name of like 3 of them. The rest of them only really show up in background shots. They don't really have any lines,
which was frustrating.
A bit weird, but I guess that's not really what this movie's intended. It's trying to do the whole team thing, but only show like a couple people.
Yep.
I don't know.
That's the thing, like, and that's the whole message of like the movie is about being on a boat together and working as one.
Boys on a boat. Yeah.
Boys on a boat, and yet it's only like a couple boys on a boat, apparently.
We can talk about like Society of the Snow. Is kind of doing a similar sort of thing, throwing it back to that movie. Yep. Is they're boys on a plane, not boys on a boat. But that's a group thing, focusing on just a couple people, but it also manages to flesh out everyone around those couple main characters really well. And I would have liked to see this do something more like that.
Yeah.
Like have more of that. More of the camaraderie, more of the showmanship, and I'll say more of the training, but we got plenty of the training.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because the one thing that is missing in this movie is like the main characters we do follow. So obviously Joe and like Roger, and then their front guy who doesn't talk, which was Don. That's right.
Yeah, he was my favorite character.
He was great. He was great. But
he was
like,
funny.
There is times that you actually never see is with Joe. Does not have any interaction with quite majority of the few other guys.
Anyone else?
Yeah. There is no interaction. Was it no talking to nothing throughout this film? They don't have a single line shared between one another. I'm just like, what? That's what we're missing here.
But I definitely think it could have done that better, but it's also kind of not really what this movie was trying to do. It's a weird line because it's like, I would have done it this way. You did it this way. This is also good and it works, but it's like, oh, come on. What about this over here? This is slightly better. Come on, Clooney. Go over here instead of over there. But nice. All right. We can put that aside and look at the movie as it is, because after an hour and a half of training and the occasional boat races, which they never lose, they don't lose at all. There is no like threat of losing throughout this movie. But that's okay because it's a true story. These guys just kicked ass from the start. So I'm like, all right, go for it.
Well, that's because there was a lot on the line for these guys as well. And this is obviously a backstory that we do kind of see. Well, mainly with Joe's character, we do see it. He does live in poverty. So he's got like, he has to put everything on the line type thing. Otherwise he will be out of college, homeless, not eating well and stuff like that. And that's the case for a few of these other guys as well that are on the boat. This is a very cheap.
Almost all of them.
Yeah, almost all of them are. They do live in poverty.
The one scene that I thought was really good was when the coach is going through the lockers and he's noticing all of their raggedy stuff.
Yep.
And then he realizes exactly why these guys are going so hard and trying to do this. That's a really cool moment. The film has these really amazing moments like that set it aside from being a generic sports movie.
Yes.
I mean, I guess the setting really carries that, and the true story element of it also carries that.
Yep.
But if you, like, I don't know, took all of that away, it's a very generic sports movie. You know what's going to happen start to finish.
Yeah.
But the fact that it has these extra elements make it really entertaining to watch. And it's also shot really well. We can talk about the cinematography of the actual boat races because they're going in a straight line. I don't know if you've ever watched rowing. It's not really the most exciting sport to watch.
No.
But this guy makes it look really, really intense, really interesting, and really fun and addictive to watch because, I don't know, it somehow makes these straight line rowing races become the most interesting thing on screen because it's great.
And the cinematographer is Martin Rue.
Martin Rue.
Yeah, the only other movie I've seen him do is The American with George Clooney. But he's done a few other things like TV shows and stuff like that. And
well, whatever he's doing good because I fucking loved the cinematography in this film. I thought this was awesome. It was probably my favorite part of the film is just how well everything's shot.
Yeah.
Like, this looks really good. This is cool. I'm watching this for the cinematography, anything else.
By the looks of any directed George Clooney film, that George Clooney has directed. He's been the cinematographer for. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because Clooney's done a couple. This is like
so
second
he
or third?
has
Hang on.
done. This is probably his fifth now. He's done quite a fair bit.
Really?
Yeah. I'm just trying to get it up at the moment. Give me a second, boys and gentlemen.
He has a
ladies and girls.
very large Wikipedia page. He's got lots of
Yes.
Wikipedia. Oh,
He's-
I'm scrolling.
All right.
Good old George Clooney.
He has done 12.
Wow,
He has
okay.
done
That's
obviously
a
The
lot
Boys
more
in the
than I
Boat, The Tender Bar, Midnight
Yeah.
Sky, Catch 22, which is a TV miniseries, Suburbicon,
Yep.
Monuments Men, The Ideals of March, Leatherheads, Good Night and Good Luck, Unscripted, and Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, all the way back in 2002.
Okay.
So he has done quite a fair bit.
He's done a lot more than I thought he had.
Yeah.
I was like, this is like his second or third. Even.
And
But
then
no, that's really cool to see.
he's been an actor in 84 roles.
Jesus.
And then he has
Yeah.
produced 48 other things. Or producer in 48
Wacky.
other things. And has
All
written
right.
5.
Yeah, so George,
So
he's been in every movie since the dawn of time. We
Yep.
can put that aside
at
because
least
this
48.
was good. At least 48 films. Yeah. He's been in at least 48 films.
Context to that. Basically, before we started the podcast, we wanted to look to see how many George Clooney films he has done, and a thing popped up for Clay and said at least 48. And we're just like, what does that mean?
Google says he's been in at least 48. I was like, does that mean exactly 48? More than 48? What does that mean? And he's like, I don't know, at least 48.
At least
I was
48.
very confused. Like, okay, Google, you do your thing.
Yeah.
But, all right, so they get to the Olympics, 1936. It's obviously in Germany. It's obviously the Nazi Party is in charge. So we see a lot of that. It doesn't shy away from the fact that Germany's hosting it. We see Hitler. He's in this movie a couple times. He watches the boat race.
He watches the boat race.
He gets really mad when the Americans win the boat race, which is on par with how he would have reacted.
Yep.
He did not have a good year at the Olympics, I will say.
He did not that year.
Because there is the 1936 Olympics, I think, is the most well documented Olympic Games in cinema history. There are dozens of movies on this. Obviously, during the time period it's in, all of that context adds to those films. It's been done to death, and we see it again rowing, which I guess we haven't seen anything rowing, so it's okay. But yeah, obviously. That's there, but it's just a sub-element. It doesn't go into any of that. Obviously, 1936, no one knew Hitler was a bad guy then, right?
Yeah, so they just thought he was, just part of the running Germany and stuff like that. They're doing their own thing. Obviously, the Americans didn't like Germany already at that place, and the Americans, when they did go there, they did not salute during the parade, which was a thing. But at this point in time, this is still pre-World War II. So this is, still very different time.
And I do like that we get to see that because the production design on this film was also really good. Everything period piece about it was amazing. All the sets look great. A lot of it, I think, is practical sets. I'm not quite. I couldn't pick anything that looked too CGI.
The budget for this movie is $40 million or 40 million US.
That's pretty good. That's very good considering.
That's very good.
It's a period piece. Pre-World War II period piece. That's hard to do in any sense. But also a sport Olympic movie. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love that. Good job. Good budgeting, filmmakers.
Good job, George Clooney.
Yeah, you good with the money. Okay.
You're good with the money.
We're just gonna talk about the film's budget for the next 20 minutes. Yeah, right.
Our producer teacher would love that.
Oh yeah,
gotta put it to the schedule. Gotta time it all out.
We'll hang on. We'll do a spreadsheet live.
We'll do a spreadsheet live.
Everyone on Spotify is gonna hate it because they can't even see the spreadsheet. We'll have to describe it.
Yeah.
So if you open Excel and then you go to pay. Okay, so they go to the Olympics. They win the Olympics. There's not much else to it apart from the looks really good and it's a cool race. It lasts about 10 minutes. It's right at the end of the film. Then they win. They get a bunch of money.
Get gold.
They're famous now.
Yep.
Yay!
That's
boys in the boat.
The boys in the boat. That's the boys in the boat.
The boys in there in a boat.
that is like, yeah, they did get to the Olympics level where they were going up against other teams around the world that were basically pre-Olympian teams and everything like that. And then these guys that came out of nowhere and still a junior team out of in college, and broke essentially, because there's this whole sequence where basically after, which we forgot about, which is kind of big sequence, just before they go to the Olympics, obviously they have the tryouts against other colleges and everything to get into the Olympics. They win, but then obviously the person in charge of the Olympics or something like that is like, oh, we weren't expecting your team to win, so you're going to have to pay $5,000 to get your team over there. If you can't get those $5,000 in 5 days, we're going to send one of the other teams that lost. And it was just like, what?
Yeah.
This is a new rule that was just put in.
As
soon as this
some bullshittery.
Bullshittery. Which was great seeing Joel Edgerton go off at that guy. I'm just like, yeah, I'd expect him to do that at like a pub here in Perth.
100%. I guarantee he has. That's method acting. He's done that before.
Acting. So yeah, obviously then they're like, oh, well, we have to make up $5,000 to get there, because that's the thing. It was kind of a bit unfair that they wouldn't put in all this effort not to be able to go to the Olympics type thing when they were the winning team. So obviously they go around, they go into radio shows, they get as many people as they can, trying to get all this money, and they're like almost at $5,000 or almost there, and they're just like,
they were close,
they were close until, which was such a nice touching scene. One of the other guys who was an opposing team, I forget which university, I think it was Columbia or Cal.
It was it was one of their rivals.
It was
one of their rivals,
one of their rivals and stuff like that, who came second.
Yeah, that's right.
Basically, their coach, he was kind of like an asshole towards Joel Edgerton's coach, because he's like, oh, your team's nothing. Like, my one's always been number one. They've always won all the stuff and everything like that. Obviously, they didn't win this time around. He actually then gives them $300 of his own money, being like, your boys deserve to go to the Olympics. And then obviously with that, they have enough money to go to Germany and everything like that. And then obviously during that time as well, their front runner boatman, which is Don Hume, the silent guy, who also can play piano, which is really cool. He obviously gets sick during that time as well. And I was thinking, oh, like they're gonna have to like swap him out. Like what's gonna happen? Like he's their front man for the rowboat. Type thing. And obviously, he just pushed through it in that final scene.
Powered through.
Just powered through. And somehow they won. And especially when they had to get they were a boat behind or something when they started the race as well, because they weren't sure what the German announcer was saying. They started late. It was like,
they couldn't hear him.
They still won gold. They still got there. They said, fuck you to Hitler.
It's a cool story. It is a really cool story. I'm glad that this movie exists.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that it's a great movie, it's like, this is a cool story, and I love when cool, like, true stories get portrayed really well on film.
Yep.
Like, the non-fiction film. It seems like we're getting a lot. Too, because the two films we're talking about today are both the same sort of thing, non-fiction sport movies.
Yeah.
We've had a lot.
Yeah.
And I love when they're good, because it's a cool piece of history, and it's a cool way for it to be preserved and presented. So,
yes.
Go Clooney.
Go Clooney. You did it again.
Woo.
Go make
Should we
Ocean's
hop
14.
over to, should we hop over to final thoughts and ratings, maybe, for
Final
Boys in the
thoughts
Boat?
and ratings. Yep. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay. Like I said, I think that it's a good film.
Yeah.
It's far from a bad film. It's shot really well. The story of it itself is really good. There are elements of it that could have been better. Certain parts of the story could have focused on more interesting elements. Some better casting for the main character, or maybe just some better writing to let him shine a little bit more.
Yeah.
Interactions with the co-boat rowers. Maybe some more time for Joel to shine, stuff like that. It's lots of little things, even though this movie itself is still pretty good. So I'm sitting on a 7 out of 10 for this, because it's fun and it's entertaining, and it's the best film about rowing that I've ever seen. So there you go. If you like rowing, you're gonna love this film.
Even if you don't like rowing, go and watch this film. Like, that's the thing. It was phenomenal to watch.
It is a good movie.
I know a lot of people. It's got under the radar a little bit. With it all.
I didn't know about it.
Which was disappointing to hear about all that, and I don't think they made their money back whatsoever on the film. But that's the thing.
Maybe just. It's got 50, it made 50 at the box office and 40 on budget, but that's not that probably doesn't include all the extra stuff. So
that's the thing, because it's owned by Amazon, which is the whole streaming thing and stuff like that. So it's a whole thing. But yes, I think they did a phenomenal job with telling the story. Obviously, there's a lot of small things that could have been touched upon, but if they did that, then it would be like a very long movie and then it would probably be drawn out a bit. So like maybe as a mini series, it's one of those things again, it could have done a little bit better. Like they could have gone into more detail about the characters and everything.
Maybe.
I would have liked to see more camaraderie between the actual boat people, and actually them sharing scenes and interacting with one another would have been just great. At least just once, because
tell us their names.
Tell us their names. That would have been great, especially when there was only 8 of them as well on the boat. It would have been nice to know like each one of the names, at least make them iconic. Like at least I have one iconic scene between like every single one of them, because they all are part of the boat, not just like 2
Let
guys.
Them shine. Let them
shine
the
a little
film.
bit.
I would have fixed our bland main character too, because it's like you have 8 characters, split it evenly. There you go. There's your movie.
There's the movie. But yeah, I feel like it's directed well. Yeah, cinematography was absolutely amazing. It actually like looked good when they were doing the roaring and everything like that. Obviously, like very well done. Props to that, because every time you do see roaring, it is boring, and then somehow they made it not boring. So that's good.
Which is very impressive. Very
impressive. So yeah, I am also going to give it a 7 out of 10 for the boys in the boat.
Boys in the boat.
Boys in the boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving away from boys in boats, let's go over to men in boxes with wheels.
Yes, men in boxes that
boats
go
with
vroom,
wheels.
Vroom.
Yeah,
boats with
boys
wheels.
in boats with wheels. Boats with wheels. That's basically what they were.
Crash a lot.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever seen a car from the 30, 40, 50s? Like, they're basically boats with wheels.
Exactly.
All right, what are we talking about now?
We are talking about Ferrari.
If you get into one of my cars, you get in the win.
Michael Mann's newest film that he has done. Vroom Vroom. Set during the summer of 1957, ex-racer driver Ezio Ferrari, is in crisis. Bankruptcy stalks the company him and his wife Laura built from nothing 10 years earlier. Their tempestuous marriage struggles with the mourning of their son and acknowledgement of another. He decides to count his losses by rolling the dice on one race, 1,000 miles across Italy in the iconic Mille Miglia. I forgot how to pronounce it. It's
the Mille Miglia?
Miglia.
It's Italian.
Yeah. Oh, Italian. That's it.
The Mille Miglia.
Mille Miglia.
Do you have a clip for Ferrari?
I don't have a clip.
Oh, okay. We got to do the thing again.
We got to do the thing again.
Ready? I'll be the car.
I'm Adam Driver.
And you be the.
I drive.
Okay, and now you be the CGI crowd of people.
They're all dead. Tragedy.
And then we cut away, and now Enzo Ferrari's like, "Look, car, car,
the car, my car,
they're all dead.
Car,
I'm wearing shit tons of makeup. Car. Okay.
The car.
That's a clip.
That's the clip.
Ferrari.
That's Ferrari. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about for Ferrari. Yeah, I am a bit disappointed by this film, if I'm being honest. I was expecting a lot more from Michael Mann, especially when he has done films like Heat and stuff like that, and Public Enemies. Fun fact, though, for you. This is on IMDb's trivia page. Apparently, because this movie has been trying to get done like forever, they just couldn't find the right person to get casted for it. Christian Bale was reportedly going to be playing as Ezio Ferrari originally back in 2015.
Okay.
Because obviously he did Public Enemies with Michael Mann, which I actually don't mind Public Enemies. And Public Enemies is a pretty cool mafia film.
Haven't seen it.
Johnny Depp as well, which is really cool.
That's
but
fun.
then he obviously dropped out, and then after Christian Bale, the second pick, this is even more wacky, and I would have loved to see the film with him in it. Hugh Jackman as Ezio Ferrari.
Okay,
but then obviously he couldn't do it. So
it's
they got
basically
Adam Driver.
Get anyone who's not Italian to play the Italian guy. I love it. Oh god. You know what? Okay. This movie, do you know what it reminds me of immensely?
What does it remind you
in
of?
every sense of it. It reminds me of Napoleon. The theatrical release of Napoleon.
Yes.
Because it's a bunch of non-Italians playing Italian guys. There's your first step. It's got some terrible moments.
Yes.
And it is a very long, drawn-out film that focuses on the stuff that no one cares about.
Exactly.
Like his marriage.
Exactly.
Rather than the car racing story.
But
okay.
then they just have like a whole segment of like about the car and the race, and it just takes it like, are we talking about his life? Are we talking about the cars? What are we doing, Michael Mann?
Okay, I'm very disappointed in this film because it has like I will probably say half of this movie is really good, and then the other half of this movie is really bad.
Yeah,
it somehow struck this weird chord. Okay, so oh god, I zoned out during a lot of Ferrari, so a lot of this plot is kind of lost on me. I only just finished it while we were setting up for the podcast, and I already have just kind of forgotten half the shit that happened. So, do you remember the plot of this film?
The plot is, it's based in 1957. Enzo Ferrari is having a crisis. And this is the thing as well. All right. So obviously, it's just set during this 1 year of his event. He just recently lost his son with his first wife and everything like that, or a year prior.
Yeah.
You know, I'm guessing it was the anniversary or something like that to the thing.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. And then it's just like, it's kind of a weird like starting place and kind of a weird like time of Enzo Ferrari's life to actually have this movie about. Because obviously, the number one thing about this film is the cars and making sure that they win the race and everything, the 1,000-mile race. But then it's just like it sidetracks you with like his life and everything like that, which was like
very weird,
very very bizarre. Because obviously he's having issues with his first wife, played by Penelope Cruz, and I'm trying to find her name, the actual like character's name. Anyway, his first wife. So we've got wife 1 and wife 2.
Yeah.
And this is another thing as well. I would have preferred this film if they did like over the course of Enzo Ferrari's life a bit more.
Yeah.
Because they have weird flashback sequences throughout this film, like during the war and like when he was younger and everything like that, because obviously how the film begins, which was so bad, by the way. That's some of the the visual effects in this film, horrible. Absolutely horrible. Terrible. Whoever they got. Awful. And do you know how much they spent on this movie? How much do you think they spent on this film? A lot.
I'm guessing a lot. Let me say 100 mil.
Yeah. Well, basically 95 million USD. They spent on this film.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Which is insane when it has some of the worst CGI I have ever experienced in a movie. And yet we have seen films come out last year now, The Creator and Godzilla Minus One, that are absolutely phenomenal on like less the budget. And then we just got this. It looks like they just got Adam Driver's head in front of a green screen and put it on another guy's body. And it was just like, it was so bad. Okay. It was so bad.
Can we talk? Let's talk about Adam Driver as Enzo Ferrari, because I don't think it worked at all. He is like 30 years younger than he's supposed to be in this film. And there's moments where you can tell. It just looks off. Something about it looks off.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. It looks off. The performance itself, I guess, was fine.
Yeah,
he doesn't really do much.
No.
Yeah, no. It grows on you, but he doesn't do anything throughout this whole film. It's like he's just kind of there.
I'm Enzo Ferrari. I yell at people. Oh no, I'm running out of money.
Yell at you.
No, my life is like crisis. We won! Yay!
Yeah. That's pretty much the movie. And then we also get the weird sex scenes with the other girl that he's seeing as well. It's like, all right, it's Napoleon again. I don't want to see this weird, like makeup Adam Driver having sex with this lady. Yeah. It's like, this looks so weird.
But that's the thing, because there is moments in this film which was just like, why didn't you do about this like 10 years prior, like based during World War II when the Ferrari was getting bombed, where it was like he had normal black hair and actually looked the part a bit more and everything like that, like more his age. I was like, why don't we see that story? Like, where's that story? What happened to that? I want to see more of that part.
Yeah. They could have done the whole of his life and had Adam Driver have the makeup on for the last 10, 20 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of the whole movie be when he's just an old dude chilling in an office and mad at everyone. It's like there's such a missed opportunity here for anything good. Okay. Should we talk about what we liked about this film? Because I feel like that's a shorter list.
Yeah. Okay. The one thing I did like about this film, the one thing was actually Adam Driver's performance. It kind of grew on me, if I'm being honest. The performance of his character, I actually was just like, towards the end of it, I was like, I can see what you're trying to do. And this is probably a testament to actually all the other stuff that's just kind of bad in the film, if I'm being honest. Like his character like grew on me because I knew that Enzo Ferrari was an asshole before going into this film. Like I did hear from reading other things and stuff, that the guy was just up himself all the time. Like he didn't really care about much of things beside himself and what would benefit him the most. And he's racing. That's what he lived for. He literally lived for racing. And that was about it. Yeah. But then it was just like, we saw this kind of strange version of it, and it was just stuck around this 1 year or this one summer in 1957 about this one race, where it wasn't even putting him in the limelight of things. You know, it wasn't like how he became so big and everything like that, because that's what I was kind of hoping going into this film a bit more, because I didn't know much about this film. I didn't know it was actually just based upon this 1 year, this one event. I thought it was actually going to be based about his entire life and how he made Ferrari and everything like that.
Considering it's called Ferrari and not called like Milan, whatever it was called, the Mille Milani,
because
or whatever that race was called, because that's the whole movie.
Yeah, because there are moments in this movie which are probably some of the better moments in this movie, where he does have flashback scenes of like his younger life and everything like that. Because there is one scene with his first wife and son where they're in like a bedroom together and he's all flying around being goofy and stuff like that, which was a quite nice, touching scene. And then there's also a scene where he meets his second wife in the war type thing, when they did get bombed and everything like that, which is like, I wanted to see more of that, because obviously that was in 47 when he got bombed.
10 years prior.
10 years prior.
Very
and stuff
weird,
like that.
Man.
And during all that, because he would have been obviously during World War II getting bombed and all that type of stuff, and actually seeing the creation of Ferrari, the company that it was. And then like they could have added this moment later in the movie as well, where they did eventually get brought out by Fiat and everything like that, which was fun. I didn't even know that. I thought Ferrari were actually owned by themselves, but no, they actually are owned by Fiat.
No, man.
Yeah.
They've been Fiat for a while. I've known that, but it's a lot of like, especially this year in Ferrari's history, is like I didn't know anything. Because it's not very interesting, especially what this movie portrays. It's kind of just one event that doesn't really affect anything. It's weird, because this movie also doesn't do anything with what it shows. It doesn't go anywhere. No one changes. It's like there's no character arcs at all. It's just kind of, hey, let's show some cool cars occasionally for 2 hours. It's like, this is stupid. Okay, but I will say the one thing that I did really liked, is some of the actual racing cinematography, showing these really nice old cars going about the races themselves. That was really good to see.
One shot, and did you notice one shot that actually it was a drone shot that they used. You could actually see the border of the actual lens. It was only like a 3-second shot.
That.
It was a 3-second shot, and I was like, "Wait a minute!" I went back and actually looked at it. It's when they're obviously going through the drive. There's like a scene where it's like a big hill, and they're driving through it. It's a drone shot, obviously very much drone, and you can actually see the corner of the lens. And I was just like laughing my head off. I'm just like,
so weird.
Oh no!
I'm surprised they would have like. Do you think they maybe like could have just zoomed in a little bit on the image or something?
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Just a tad. That's very weird. I missed that. I didn't see that at all. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, apart from that weird little shot, the cinematography itself of the races was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Besides
but that's only like 20.
Sequences.
Oh, we get. There's only like 20 minutes of the film. It's really amazing races. The rest is him talking and yelling at people in a room and being unfaithful to his wife. Anyway, then there's the crash scenes, which happen pretty much during every race. And it is some of the worst CGI I've ever seen, especially this year.
Yeah.
It's god awful. The first one made me laugh so loud. Like this was a comedy film. It's during a test lap of this old Ferrari, and it just kind of doesn't break, and then immediately flies off like a spaceship, and the guy goes flying out of the cockpit, and it's like this is the funniest thing I've ever seen because it looks terrible. It is so goofy. The physics don't make any sense whatsoever.
Nope.
It's like. How did they make this and not laugh their heads off?
That was crash number 1, which was just stupid.
It gets better. It gets better.
Number 2. Well, I suppose there's actually there's a few little crashes as well where they had mannequins instead of stunt people, and you could tell it was definitely a mannequin. It just looked stupid because the thing was
It was a CGI car. They're not doing anything with these cars apart from driving them in a straight line. They can't afford to crash any of these Ferraris, even the replicas. It's insane. But yeah, the second, which is the big crash, right? I think that's the big one.
Yeah, there's a couple other ones, but they're on the other teams and stuff like that.
Okay, the big one.
The big one.
Okay, so this is during the final race. The car comes along.
This is based upon true events, and we're laughing at this, and unfortunately, a lot of people did die.
But it's so stupid. It looks awful. It's the worst portrayal. I would hate to be the grandson of one of the people that was involved in this crash because seeing that would probably ruin my year. That was this is the most disrespectful, stupidest thing I've ever seen. Okay, so a car, one of the Ferraris is driving along. It's towards the end of the race. It's running slightly bald tires. But that's not much of an issue because it hits a sharp piece of something on the road.
Yeah, basically
I didn't quite catch what it was.
I forgot.
It was a divider or something.
Yeah, it was like a divider. It was basically a little shard that was sticking out, type thing, and it punctured the side of the tire. The guy went over.
Then the car turns off, hits a gravestone, and immediately goes flying into the air as well. It's how do you hit something and then immediately go shoo?
Yeah.
And then barrel rolls over a group of 30 people.
Yeah.
And it again, I laugh so hard. I'm like, this is not a laughing moment. This is this is the most brutal thing ever.
Yeah.
And it looks awful. It is hilariously bad.
Yep.
Whoever did the VFX for this film should be fired and replaced with because that's so bad.
Well, that's the thing because they put that in the trailer, remember? And this is what kind of unsettled me going into the film was that one scene. I was like, why is that so bad? And then I remember the interview of some
in
guy
the trailer
yelling at the driver.
In the trailer, the car wraps around a telephone pole or something, doesn't it? It doesn't hit the crowd.
No, you don't see it. It bounces off what happened.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's awful. It doesn't make any sense with physics.
No.
And it looks bad. It ruins what could have been the most brutal moment of this film. This could have been so powerful if it looked good.
Yep.
But because it doesn't, it's what this? You should have cut this. Cut away from this.
Well, that's the thing. They could have just been
join the aftermath
crash because that's the thing. When it hit the tire, because obviously that part was special effect. That was actually all right. The close up part when it hit the tire.
Yeah, because it didn't do anything.
Yeah,
it could have just cut away from that. Shown the aftermath.
Yeah.
Go to something else. This looked bad. Why did you put this in the film?
Yep.
Michael Mann, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Can you see? You need glasses? Do you have a vision impairment? I'm serious. Because this is so bad.
It is
bad.
This
is Flash level of CGI. And that is barely CGI.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. that's Ferrari.
That's a couple of the bad sequences of the film. That's basically that is the film. Because at the same time of that crash happening, they actually do end up winning the race. And somehow
they do.
Saving the company by getting bought out by Fiat. And everything like that.
Yeah, so they get bought out anyway. It's all right.
Because they still won type thing. And that's the thing, because obviously, and this is the kind of thing about it, you don't find out what was the ramifications of that or the investigation that happened after. It's only a text at the end, basically being he wasn't
stupid.
Investigated any further because it was
liable.
Liable for it because it wasn't the car, it was the road that hit the tire type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everything like that. But they just put that as text at the end, and it was just like,
It's like, huh?
Okay, why?
It's that could have been a really cool element if they
Yeah.
scrapped half of the relationship stuff and then did kind of like an Oppenheimer level investigation. They showed that side of it afterwards.
Yeah.
And ending with him like not being liable for this horrific thing. That could have been interesting.
And it would have been more.
But we don't get
interesting to see
anything.
The
We don't
deal
get anything.
between him and Fiat as well, like that whole thing,
Yeah,
because he was
show
very
that.
much a man of being like, I don't want to sell my company type thing. And it would have been kind of cool to see like then the performance of that whole scene of like being like, I do have to sign my company away. So
He just sells the company and
he just
nothing is
sells the company,
resolved.
and you don't even see it.
It is. You don't see anything. Nothing is shown. Nothing matters. This movie is pointless. And it is very, very disappointing. Yeah. Should we go over to final thoughts and ratings? I think I'm done with this one.
Yeah, final thoughts and ratings. That's pretty fair. Do you want to go, or you want me to go?
Oh, I went first last time. You go.
Oh, okay.
You kick it off.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this was not a great film. I was greatly disappointed in this, especially done by Michael Mann and Adam Driver and everything like that. In it, I was looking forward to it. I was really hoping it would be about Enzo Ferrari's his entire life, how he built the company, and actually about Ferrari himself.
Yeah, because it's called Ferrari.
It's called Ferrari, and I was expecting more. And that's the thing, because there was elements in it that was like, it was more, but then it was like, why wasn't the entire film like that? And then and just the special effects work. I'm just like, why? We live in a day and age now where people can do special effects like 1,000 times better than what was put into this film. And this got released in cinemas, by the way. This was a box office cinema-worthy film.
Yeah.
And we had stuff like that. Like, what happened? Where did the budget go? I think that's like another case of bad management in the budget and not enough put on the special effects team. They're probably like, last minute, gonna have to do this quickly for us. That's probably what happened. Which is very annoying. It is awful to see everything like that, especially for the budget that it was on and stuff like that. So I am going to give this movie a 3 out of 10.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. The only saving redeeming quality was that over time I kind of did enjoy Adam Driver's performance in a very weird way. The more towards the end of it, because I think I just got used to it, and like everything else about the film was just so bad. But I wanted to see more of his character. And I think that was the one thing that was missing. I just wanted to see more of him, but his entire life. That I was missing.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not going to be as harsh as you, because there were elements that I really liked. The racing itself was amazing. I could have watched 2 hours of just the race.
Yeah,
like just portray the entire race as a 2-hour film. That was amazing and really well shot. The cars look beautiful when they're the real cars.
Yeah.
Because the CGI is terrible. The cars look amazing. The sets look really cool. All of the period stuff looks great. The racing's amazing, entertaining, tense. I love that. Ferrari itself, he's boring. He doesn't do anything in this film. I'm sure Adam Driver's trying, but it sure doesn't seem like it, because it's very just boring. The relationship subplot sucks. Everything. It's like such a mixed bag. I'm sitting on a 5 out of 10, and I feel like that's generous, because there's 30 minutes of this movie is really good and really worth watching, and a lot of that is the really cool racing scenes. And then some of the other stuff's okay, but then half the movie's terrible. So it's like I definitely would have skipped this in cinema like we did. I'm glad we did. This is like a watch, I guess, if you like Ferrari racing movies. I don't know. Watch the racing scenes on YouTube. That's probably how I'd watch this film.
If you want to watch an amazing movie about racing, go and watch Ford versus Ferrari. Go and watch that.
Yeah.
That was probably good. Number one, my favorite racing film of all time is Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. I mean, it was very good and definitely leagues above this one. So Ferrari gets a 5 out of 10 from me.
Okay, that's fair enough. We had one great film and then one mediocre film.
Yeah. Oh well, that's what happens.
Well, I feel like that is it for another episode of We Talk Film. So thanks for coming out, everybody. Listen to us again. Obviously, we're here every single Sunday on all your podcasty places, social medias, wherever. We're just We Talk Film. Make sure it's the podcast. You see our logo. It's yellow. It's black. We're here every Sunday. We'll see you guys in next week's episode. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.